So let's talk technology. My relationship began in the 80's with taking things apart, particularly telephones. I like making telephone headsets. And there was something missing that would eventually come along as the World Wide Web in 1990. And by 1991, I was all over it. I was writing web pages. I was exploring all there was to explore back then, which wasn't very much at all. And then I went to university because that was the thing to do, because there was nothing else option-wise really. And then a couple of weeks into university, I had the opportunity to go to a closed conference, telecommunications conference. It had all the big players at the time in it. And they were all talking fiber. The future is fiber and bandwidth. And there was one lady there, and she came on stage to make a short presentation. She held up a device in her hand. It looked just like your phone today. This was 1994. And she explained what the device would do. The device would eventually go on to become iPhones and Androids. But back then, nobody believed me when I told them what I saw. So I stopped telling people. And I quickly decided that university was not at all for me, and I had to find another way because there was so much happening. So I signed up for a course, a year-long course. It was called Programming and Networking, and it was a waste of a year really. It didn't teach me very much at all. So when that was done, I harangued, I called the founder of the ISP that I was with. And in those days, the way the setup was, I could interrupt him via Telnet, text-based interface. So I kept interrupting him during the day saying, "Hi, it's me again. Can I have a job with you, please?" And eventually he said, "Yeah, come on in." I think just because I was annoying him so much, maybe. But when I came in, he was pleased. And I got the job. I got a job. Didn't really know what the job was. It was a very small company at the time. The first ISP in Ireland. This was the 90's. And so I worked there for a year. And then it got bought out by some kind of semi-state authority, and I just knew I didn't want to work for the government, so I quit. And I left to start up my own internet business, consultancy, and I called it Alp Street. And that ran well for about 3 years. It was cool times. The late 90's, being a minor internet celebrity in Ireland anyway. And yeah, things were good then until things weren't good. And everything kind of went bad in 99. And I went bust. In my time, in over 3 years in my company, I made 3 pitches on things that I thought might be good business ideas, but they were all rejected. Only later on, much later on, with wisdom, do I realize I should never have listened to those people or even sought their advice much. First one was in '96, and I was familiarizing myself with a new silicone graphics, which was a very high-end machine back then that I had, and there was this VR development software on it, and so I played around with that for a few minutes. I never get hooked on anything, like I never get obsessed with gaming or anything like that. I just like to see how it works, and that's it. So I saw how it worked, and I thought, yeah, it's all cool and everything, and one day it'll be great, but it's really annoying having to draw every object, like click the start point and the end point, and I thought it'd be great if you could just do it one click and put down an object. I thought that'd be cool. Nobody else did much. Of course, years later we have Minecraft, and that's what I was talking about. Second idea I pitched that was again rejected because they thought I was mad was that we didn't need to pay for telephones anymore. We could do this all for free with internet protocol. Again, I was a madman. Fine, I continued on, and then the third one, my last hoo-ha, was a proposal. I called it Bubble, and that was the name of the project. It was called Bubble, and it would be massive. It would be the biggest bubble you ever saw, and it was basically a social network which didn't really exist much at the time, and you would create your own personal bubble, your profile, and you would connect with friends, get to see their bubbles, and all your bubbles would collectively become a much bigger little conurbation of bubbles in a community. Again, that was discounted. Stupid idea. Well, that pretty much is what we now say is Facebook. I'm glad I don't have that responsibility. I don't care about the money, never did. But I'm glad I don't have that responsibility on my shoulders. So that's when I decided, enough with tech. I'm done with it. I gave it my best. It didn't give me nothing. So I quit. I went on to train to be a tailor, train to be a chef, and eventually I got back into tech. More about that later. But that was my ride. I was into internet before it properly existed as we even know it today. I was reading Mondo magazine in the late 80s, and that was touching on cyberspace, imagining what may be, and that's where I wanted to go, and that's where I'm still going. Thanks. Hope you learned something. Yeah, don't ever listen to people who don't know what they're talking about when you've got something new. You stick with your idea, okay?